The room went quiet right after my girlfriend kissed another man. Not a quick kiss on the cheek, not some drunk birthday joke, not one of those awkward moments people can pretend they misunderstood. Lacey Monroe, my girlfriend of 6 years, had both hands on Heath Walker's jacket. And Heath, the restaurant owner she kept calling like a brother, had one hand at her waist. I was standing behind the service bar at the Marlowe, the boutique hotel I managed, holding 2 unopened bottles of champagne. For a second, my brain tried to reject what my eyes had just seen. Because this was not some random club. This was not a dark corner with strangers. This was Lacey's birthday party. A private room I had arranged for her. Staff I had scheduled. Champagne I had approved. Flowers I had helped choose. And 20 people had just watched her pull away from Heath, like she had forgotten I was in the room. I set the bottles down slowly. Nobody said anything. The jazz playlist kept playing through the ceiling speakers. Somebody coughed near the windows. One of the servers looked at me, then quickly looked away. I walked across the room. Lacey's smile was still on her face, but it was changing. It was turning sharp, like she was getting ready to defend herself before I even spoke. I stopped in front of her and asked, low enough that only the people close to us could hear, "Was that supposed to be funny?" Heath gave a little laugh through his nose. Lacey rolled her eyes. That hurt more than the kiss. She did not look ashamed. She looked annoyed that I had interrupted the moment. Then she raised her voice. "Grow up, Miles. It was just a kiss." The words landed harder than a slap. A few people froze. My assistant manager, Camille, stepped back like she wished she could disappear into the wall. I looked at Lacey and waited for the apology that never came. Instead, she leaned closer and said, loud enough for the table near the fireplace to hear, "Maybe if you weren't so stiff and insecure, I wouldn't have to hide normal fun from you." There it was. The kiss was not the deepest cut. The deepest cut was how easily she made me the problem. Heath lifted his glass and said, "Don't punish her because you're uncomfortable around people who actually know how to have fun." A few people looked down at their drinks. Nobody defended me. Not one person. I looked around that beautiful private room, the velvet booths, the low gold lights, the flowers on every table. The custom cake Lacey had said was almost perfect after I drove across town to pick it up myself. I had built the night for her. And somehow, I was standing in it like an unwanted guest. Lacey folded her arms. "What? Are you going to make a scene now?" I stared at her for a moment. Then I said, "You're right." Her face twitched. I nodded once. "I do need to grow up." Then I walked out. I did not slam a door. I did not shout. I did not ask Heath to step outside. I did not give Lacey the dramatic scene she expected. I went downstairs, crossed the lobby, and stepped into the cold air behind the hotel. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely unlock my phone. That was the first time I understood something I should have seen months earlier. Lacey did not just betray me. She expected me to stay after she did. Lacey and I had been together for 6 years. When people saw us, they thought we were basically married. We lived together in a downtown apartment with tall windows and polished concrete floors. We hosted wine nights. We went to charity events. We knew which couples were fighting, which restaurants were opening, and which designers were overcharging rich clients for ugly chairs. From the outside, we looked like one of those couples who had already figured life out. But from inside the apartment, it felt different. Lacey was an interior designer, a good one. I will never pretend she had no talent. She could look at an empty room and see texture, shape, color, and mood before anyone else did. She knew how to make a place feel expensive without making it feel cold. But somewhere along the way, she started confusing taste with character. I managed the Marlowe, a boutique hotel with 78 rooms, a rooftop bar, and the kind of lobby people photographed before they checked in. It was not glamorous every day. Most days were late checkouts, broken air conditioning, staff shortages, angry guests, vendor calls, and somebody asking why their room service eggs cost $26. But I was good at it. I knew how to keep things running. That was what Lacey used to love about me. Then she started making jokes about it. Miles is reliable, she would say at dinner parties, sometimes painfully reliable. People laughed. I laughed, too, because I thought that was what secure men did. When a client complimented our apartment, Lacey would say, "Thank you. It took forever to make this place livable." Quote, she never mentioned that I had the apartment before she moved in. She never mentioned that I bought the leather chairs, the dining table, the brass lamps, the rugs, the bed frame, the kitchenware, and most of the art. She chose the look. I paid the invoices. She drove a white Audi I bought because her credit was still wrecked from a failed business partnership before we met. She used my hotel vendor discounts when she needed lighting, fabric, furniture, or floral contacts. She got referrals because wealthy guests at the Marlowe trusted me when I said, "My girlfriend does beautiful work." I did not mind helping her. That was the terrible part. I liked helping her. I liked seeing her win. I just did not notice when support turned into expectation. Then Heath Walker came back into her life. He owned 2 restaurants downtown and was opening a 3rd. He had the type of confidence that made people mistake noise for power. Tailored coats, expensive watch, teeth too white, voice too loud. Always touching someone's shoulder when he talked, like every conversation was a performance. Lacey told me they knew each other from years back. "Heath is basically family," she said the first time I asked about him. But Heath did not act like family. He called her Monroe in this private, smug way. He put his hand on her lower back when he moved past her. He invited her to soft openings, chef tastings, late-night walkthroughs, and quick drinks with industry people. At first, I tried to be fair. I was not a jealous teenager. I worked long hours. Lacey had her own career. She was allowed to have friends. But then her phone started lighting up after midnight. She started turning the screen face down. She started dressing up for casual meetings. And whenever I brought it up, she did not reassure me. She attacked me. "This is why I don't tell you things," she said one night while putting in earrings at our bathroom mirror. "You make everything heavy." I was brushing my teeth, standing there like an idiot, trying to decide whether I was hurt or just tired. "He touches you too much," I said. She laughed. "He's affectionate. You're just stiff." That word again. Stiff. Boring. Safe. Reliable. I was slowly becoming the furniture in my own life. A few days before her birthday party, Audra Bell called me. Audra was one of Lacey's friends, but she had always been decent to me. She worked in magazine advertising and knew everyone's gossip before it became public. She asked if I had a minute. Her voice sounded careful. "I don't want to get involved," she said, which meant she was already involved. "But I heard Heath talking at his restaurant opening." My stomach tightened. "What did he say?" Audra sighed. "He said Lacey could make his private dining room look expensive without asking too many questions." I frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means he's behind schedule, over budget. He needs the room finished before investors see it. I think he's using her." I almost laughed, because the idea was so ugly and obvious. Lacey thought Heath saw her as rare. He saw her as cheap labor with useful connections. I wanted to tell her. I really did. But by then, every concern I raised became proof that I was insecure. So I stayed quiet. That silence was still sitting in my chest when I watched her kiss him in front of everyone. After I left the party, I did not go home. I slept in an empty suite on the 4th floor of the Marlowe. Well, I tried to sleep. Mostly I sat at the little writing desk in my wrinkled shirt while the city lights blinked through the window. At 4:13 in the morning, I opened my laptop. I did not know what I was looking for at first. I just needed to see something real. something that did not roll its eyes or call me sensitive. So I opened the lease folder. My name. Only my name. Then the car file. My name. The insurance. My name. The furniture receipts. Mostly my name. The vendor accounts. My name. The shared credit card. Both names, but paid from my account. I kept clicking. My chest went colder with each page. Then I found the invoices. 3 charges from a luxury lighting vendor, 2 fabric orders, 1 custom banquet deposit. All marked under the category Lacey had labeled Home Upgrade Samples. But the delivery address was not our apartment. It was Heath's new restaurant. I sat back in the chair and stared at the screen. The kiss had been bad. This was worse. Because this was not a moment. This was planning. She had used my account to buy materials for Heath's project and hidden it under our home expenses. I checked dates. 1 charge was from the same night she told me she had a client emergency and would be home late. Another was from the morning after I made her breakfast because she said she was stressed and needed support. I laughed once. Not because it was funny. Because if I did not laugh, I might have broken something. By sunrise, something inside me had gone still. Not calm. Still. There is a difference. Calm means you are at peace. Still means the part of you that kept reaching for someone has finally stopped moving. I made coffee in the sweet machine and started making calls. First, I called a moving company. Then I called a storage facility. Then I called the vendors and froze every account tied to my name. Then I called the bank and shut down the shared card after paying my part and documenting the questionable charges. Then I printed every receipt, invoice, lease record, title document, and account statement I needed. I did not want a messy fight. I wanted a clean exit. But I did not want Lacey to rewrite it. That was important. Because Lacey loved controlling the story. If I left quietly, she would tell people I abandoned her because I could not handle one harmless kiss. If I confronted her privately, she would cry, twist it, and make me feel guilty before I finished a sentence. So I chose the one place she could not spin. Her showcase. The next Saturday, Lacey was hosting a private design showcase at our apartment. She had invited potential clients, a lifestyle magazine contact, 2 investors connected to Heath, and half our friend group. She had been using our apartment as her portfolio for months. The living room, the dining table, the lamps, the custom mirror, the art, the kitchen, the entire polished image. She called it my best live-work concept. But it was not her showroom. It was my home. And most of it belonged to me. That week, I became very easy to live with. That scared me, but Lacey did not notice. She thought I was sulking. On Monday night, she came home at almost midnight and found me packing my watches into a small case. She leaned against the bedroom door and smiled. "Are we doing sad little symbolism now?" I looked up. No. She waited for more. I gave her nothing. She crossed her arms. "You know, eventually we have to talk like adults." I closed the case. Noted. Her mouth tightened. She hated when I did not give her something to fight. On Tuesday, she posted a photo from Heath's restaurant. She was sitting at the bar in a black dress, laughing at something off camera. The caption said, "Some people remind you life is supposed to feel alive." I saw it while wrapping my grandmother's serving bowl in newspaper. That bowl had survived 3 apartments, 2 family funerals, and 1 terrible move in the rain. It was not staying behind for Lacey to put olives in during her next fake apology party. On Wednesday, she noticed 1 empty bookshelf. "Are you doing some dramatic minimalist thing?" she asked. "Something like that." She laughed. I had never heard a sound make me feel more finished. On Thursday, she asked for the Audi keys. "I need to run to Heath's place," she said. "He has samples for me." I kept the keys in my pocket. "No." She blinked. What? You can take a rideshare. Her face changed. Miles, don't be petty. I'm not being petty. I'm using my car as my car. Her cheeks flushed. You're punishing me. I looked at her then. For the first time that week, I let her see a little of what she had done. No, Lacey, I'm stopping. She stared at me like she did not know what that word meant. Then her phone buzzed. Heath. She looked down at it, then back at me. And for just a second, she looked scared. Not sorry. Scared. By Saturday morning, the apartment looked normal on the surface. That was the beauty of it. Lacey was in full showcase mode, cream blazer, gold earrings, hair pinned back, perfume that filled the hallway before she left the bedroom. She walked through the living room, checking angles like a director. The flowers should go on the dining table, she said. The champagne near the kitchen island. Please don't make today weird. I was standing by the window, drinking black coffee. Today won't be about my feelings. She gave me a suspicious look. Then Heath honked downstairs. She grabbed her purse. He's helping me pick up the floral order. Of course he was. Before she left, she pointed one polished finger at me. I mean it, Miles. Do not embarrass me today. I looked at her. Then I smiled a little. I wouldn't dream of it. She left. 37 minutes later, the moving truck pulled up. The first mover, a big man named Ron, looked around the apartment and said, Everything with a blue label? Everything with a blue label, I said. He nodded. Then the apartment started coming apart. Not slowly. Fast. The leather chairs went first. Then the coffee table. Then the framed black and white hotel photos Lacey loved telling people she had sourced. Then the dining table. The florist arrived while two movers were carrying it into the hallway. She stood there holding white orchids and said, Is this part of the setup? No, I said. This is a move. Lacey's assistant, Bree, stepped off the elevator with garment bags over one arm and almost dropped them. Mr. Harlan? I checked the clipboard. Morning, Bree. She looked into the half-empty living room. Does Lacey know? She will. The photographer arrived 10 minutes later and asked if the empty walls were a design statement. I almost said yes. Instead, I told him he might want to wait downstairs. By noon, guests were starting to arrive. And that was when Lacey came back. I heard Heath's SUV before I saw it. The engine had that expensive growl men buy when they want every street to know they arrived. I was standing near the moving truck when the custom dining table came out. Lacey stepped out of the SUV holding a box of champagne flutes. Her smile vanished. Heath got out behind her, wearing sunglasses and the kind of bored expression men use when they think real life is beneath them. Lacey looked at the truck, then at the table, then at me. Miles, she said with a laugh that broke in the middle. Stop, this isn't funny. I agree. She rushed past me, into the building. I followed. By the time she reached the apartment, 4 guests were already standing near the doorway. The magazine contact was there too, holding a small notebook against her chest. The florist had placed the orchids on the floor because there was no table left. Bree was whispering into her phone. Lacey stepped inside and froze. The apartment echoed. The couch was gone. The chairs were gone. The dining table was gone. The big mirror was still on the wall, but 2 movers were preparing to take it down. Lacey turned to me slowly. You are not doing this today. I handed her a folder. I'm only taking what belongs to me. She slapped the folder out of my hand. Papers slid across the bare floor. That was her mistake. Because now, everyone looked. Receipts, title copies, vendor statements, lease documents, credit card charges. Heath stepped into the doorway, taking off his sunglasses. This is pathetic, he said. You're sabotaging her career because she embarrassed you. I looked at him. No, I'm correcting a billing issue. His expression flickered. I raised my voice, not shouting, just clear. Did you know the private dining room samples for your restaurant were charged through my account? The room went dead silent. One of Heath's investors, a silver-haired man near the kitchen, looked at him. The magazine contact opened her notebook. Lacey whispered, "Miles, don't." I turned to her. That whisper told the whole room there was something to hide. I bent down, picked up one invoice, and placed it on the kitchen island. Lighting order, fabric order, custom seating deposit, all through accounts tied to me. All marked as home upgrades, all delivered to Heath's new restaurant. Heath laughed, but it sounded thin. I didn't know how she was handling billing. Lacey's head snapped toward him. You told me to use the account. The room reacted without making a sound. That was the kind of silence that ruins people. Heath's investor took one step back. Heath lifted both hands. I said check if you had access. I didn't say mislabel anything. Lacey stared at him like he had slapped her. You said Miles never checks details. I almost smiled. Because that was the funniest lie anyone had ever told about me. I managed a hotel. Details were my entire job. Audra was standing near the door. She looked from Lacey to the invoices, then at me. Her face was pale. Lacey, she said quietly, you told everyone he was controlling. You didn't say you were using his money. Lacey's eyes filled fast. Not with guilt, with panic. Everyone needs to leave, she said. Nobody moved. So she turned on me. You're trying to ruin me. I looked around the apartment, at the empty walls, at the people who had watched me get humiliated 1 week earlier, at Heath, who suddenly looked like he wished he had taken the stairs. Then I looked back at Lacey. No, I'm done financing the version of you that humiliates me. One of the movers cleared his throat. Sir, the mirror? I nodded. Take it. That mirror was Lacey's favorite piece. Tall, antique brass, nearly 7 feet high. She used it in every portfolio shot. Every client loved it. Every guest asked where she found it. I had bought it 2 years earlier from a hotel liquidation sale. The movers lifted it from the wall. As they carried it through the center of the room, Lacey saw herself in it. Mascara starting to run. Cream blazer wrinkled. Guests staring. Heath backing away. Her perfect showcase collapsing behind her. That was the moment her voice changed. Miles, she whispered, please. There it was. Not grow up. Not you're insecure. Not normal fun. Please. She stepped toward me. Can we talk inside? I looked around. There's barely an inside left. Her face twisted. I made this place beautiful. No, I said. You made it look beautiful. There's a difference. She flinched like the words had teeth. Then she grabbed her purse. Fine, I'm leaving. She marched to the hook by the door. The car keys were not there. She turned back slowly. I held them up. Her eyes widened. Miles. That's my car too. Someone near the hallway muttered, Oh my God. Lacey lowered her voice, but everyone could still hear her. Please don't embarrass me like this. For the first time all week, I let the anger rise into my voice. You kissed him in front of me, in a room I arranged, at a party I paid for, and told me to grow up. Do not ask me to protect your image now. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Then she looked at Heath. That was the saddest part. Even after everything, she still looked at him like he might save her. Heath, she said, can I stay with you for a few days? Heath looked at his phone. Actually looked at his phone. My place isn't really set up for guests right now. A sound moved through the room. Not a laugh. Not a gasp. Something worse. Recognition. Lacey stared at him. You kissed me in front of him." Heath shifted his weight. "I didn't ask you to blow up your life." That finished her. Whatever she thought they were, whatever fantasy she had built around him, it died right there in front of everyone. I stepped past her toward the door. She grabbed my sleeve. "Where am I supposed to go?" I looked at Heath. Then I looked back at her. "Ask your brother." Audra covered her mouth. Because everyone remembered. Everyone had heard Lacey say it. Heath was like a brother. Now her brother could not even offer a couch. The last thing the movers carried out was the bed frame. That felt almost too perfect. Lacey stood in the middle of the gutted apartment while the symbol of our shared life disappeared into an elevator. Her showcase was dead. Heath's investors left 5 minutes later. The magazine contact closed her notebook and said, "I don't think this is the feature we discussed." Bree, Lacey's assistant, took off her headset and said, "I can't do this anymore." Then she walked out too. Lacey looked at me like I had burned down a house. But I had not burned anything. I had only taken back what was mine. That was what made it worse for her. There was no crime to accuse me of, no screaming fit, no threat, no broken glass. Just receipts. Just ownership. Just the truth, standing in a room with nowhere to sit. I rode down in the elevator with Ron from the moving company. He looked at the clipboard, then at me. "Rough day?" I stared at the elevator doors. Then I laughed under my breath. Not for me. Outside, Lacey followed me to the truck. Her voice cracked behind me. "Miles, don't leave like this." I turned around one last time. The wind was moving her hair across her face. Her mascara had made thin black lines under her eyes. Heath was standing by his SUV, suddenly very interested in sending a text. I remembered the birthday party. The kiss. The way she laughed. The way everyone watched me absorb it. I said, "You told me to grow up." Then I got into the truck. And this time when I left, everyone saw it. The aftermath was quick. By that evening, Audra messaged me and said the friend group knew everything. The magazine feature was canceled. Heath's investors postponed their meeting. The vendor accounts were suspended until the unpaid charges were reviewed. Bree quit. Lacey sent 14 texts from her number, then 3 from a different one. I did not answer. 3 days later, while I was standing in the lobby of the Marlowe watching staff set up for a wedding welcome party, another message came in. "Can we please talk like adults?" I looked at it for a long time. Not because I was tempted. Because 6 years deserved one final second of silence. Then I typed back, "Grow up, it was just a kiss." I sent her a forwarding address form for anything she left behind. Then I blocked the number. For 6 years I thought loyalty meant absorbing every insult quietly so the person I loved never had to feel uncomfortable. But that week taught me the difference between being steady and being used. Lacey wanted the beautiful apartment, the car, the contacts, the rooms full of important people, and the man who made all of it easy. She just did not want to respect him in front of anyone. So when I finally grew up, I did not become cruel. I became honest. And honesty emptied that room faster than anger ever could. If you've ever watched someone mistake your patience for weakness, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, did Miles go too far, or did Lacey get exactly what she created?